Hello, my name is Gretchen, and I just wanted to give my testimony to whoever might be watching of how I came to know Jesus as my Lord and Savior. Um, I was raised by a Church of Christ preacher and his wife. I was adopted when I was 3 days old. The couple that was supposed to have gotten me for some reason backed out at the last minute, and I was in the hospital and they didn't have anywhere to take me or anybody to keep me, so they called my mom and dad and they said they would take me. So that's just my background as far as religion. They were very, very good parents. I could have not handpicked better parents if I had handpicked them. They were precious, sweet, and loving people. My daddy, matter of fact, I always thought and always said was more like Jesus than anybody I've ever known. So, with that said, I was a very, very rebellious child and teenager and adult. Have been very rebellious all my life. Doing only what I want to do and not doing what I don't want to do. So I got baptized when I was 11 years old, and I do remember, I wanted to please Daddy and make him happy, but I did believe that Jesus was the Son of God. So I was happy to get baptized, and so that was short-lived because on my part, because once I turned 13, I started. I had influence of some older people in my life, and which it wasn't their fault. I would have found it anyway, but so I had the opportunity to start to get drinking and smoking pot. So I decided at a pretty young age that I didn't want to follow God. Whatever my parents told me not to do, I was going to break my neck to do it. And I felt like anything that was fun, that's what I couldn't do. So I wanted to have fun because I was all into Gretchen having fun and doing what Gretchen wanted to do. So I just, in the meantime, just really became, as I grew, more rebellious and more evil. That's the only way I know to put it. I didn't, not like God. I hated God, and I hated His ways, and I hated the fact that, we'd be judged one day, and if we didn't do right, eternal hell. So that always bothered me a whole lot. I'm trying to make this short as I can, and I've never done this, so bear with me, please. I'm a little nervous too. When I was 18, Dad always raised us. Back then, it's like women really weren't into college as near as much as it has been. Daddy mainly just kind of taught us that, when you got older, you were a wife. You got married and you were to become a wife. And so really, the careers and all that, I don't feel like that was a deal that was pushed on me very much. But of course, they would have stood behind me if I would have chose that. But, being biblical, Daddy just really, thought the woman should just be a wife. This wasn't their fault. I'm not trying to make this sound like it is. This is all my fault, believe me. So I couldn't wait to get out of Mom and Daddy's home because, I had to go to church there, and, I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I couldn't do it there. So, the first time I got married when I was 18, and I married a guy that was 23 years old, and it lasted about a year, and he decided that, well, to make a long story short, he just came up missing for a few days. When he came back, I think it was a phone number in the car, when I got in the car with him, that he had accidentally left, and I reached to pick it up, and so he grabbed it and shriveled it up and threw it out the window. So I think that he might have, met somebody, because he was telling me that he didn't want to be married anymore, that he wasn't ready to be settled down. So I can remember thinking at the time, my gracious, he's 23 years old. That's, that was, wow, wouldn't anybody want to be settled down at that age? But now when I look back, it was just so young. And so that ended in a year, and I was really hurt over that. It really did hurt me. But, I was young and boy crazy, so, I went on. And within, I'd say, a couple months, me and a friend, we, went out clubbing, and I met my second husband. And I stayed married to him 13 years. He was really good to me while we were dating. And when we got married, it wasn't long before that changed. He was extremely jealous, and he was very abusive mentally and physically. But I had 2 children by him. I had my son, and I wanted to leave him after I had my son, because he was verbally and physically abusing me by then. But he, would tell me, he would threaten me and stuff, so I was scared to leave him for a lot of years. Then I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter, which I love very much. I'm very glad I had her, and everything happened the way it did. But so that lasted 13 years, and I was finally to the point to where he told me, he would kill me if I ever left him over and over. So I was really frightened for him. But I got to the point to where I would rather have been dead than be in that anymore. I was so miserable by that time. So I finally got out of that after 13 years. Then I had to deal with that for a while. Now, I wasn't an angel myself. I did a lot of things wrong, and I'm not going to go in everything I did, but I wasn't a Christian, and so, I was young, and I made a lot of mistakes, so I wasn't by any means innocent. I don't want to come across that way. So once again, I was devastated. I had 2 children now, and out of a second marriage, still pretty young, and but life went on. I didn't really drink much, but later on I did. I married this other guy that I got it annulled just shortly, I think a month or 2 afterwards, because I'm not going to even go into that, but it was just a mess. And so I got that annulled. So I was dating different guys, running wild in the bars. I'd go from one mess to the next. I just wanted somebody to love me. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have, a marriage, a good marriage, because my parents had the best of anybody, I never saw them mad at each other. It was so good. And I wanted that, but therefore, I didn't look for the right kind of guys. I liked the wild guys because I was wild, and you're not going to find a good husband making those kind of wrong choices. So, anyway, anywho, that was silly, I'm sorry. I had a guy that I was dating to really beat me up really bad, and that messed me up pretty bad. I started drinking really heavily after that. Matter of fact, he was trying to kill me, but I did get away. I was lucky enough to get away. That messed me up pretty bad, and I started drinking even worse than I already was. It's like with every mess, I'd get a little worse and a little worse. And I was turning to alcohol to take away my pain. Reality was getting harder and harder and harder, and I did not want to stay in reality anymore. So I would stay drunk non-stop, and I would get on binges, and I would do it, and I would drink straight tequila or straight vodka out of the bottle. I'm talking about day and night. I'd wake up all during the night, and I mean, it was just crazy. When I look back now, I don't even know how I did it, because I would drink myself into the emergency rooms a lot of time, and I was, in a sense, I was wanting to kill myself. So there was another time that I took the whole bottle of Tylenol PM, and I was married to this other guy by then, and he didn't take me to get my stomach pumped, and I woke up days later, and I was so sick. And so I did get scared, because I do remember going towards a light in that time, and I got really scared, even though I tried to kill myself. Once I really saw that light, I got so afraid and prayed to God, please don't let me die, because I wanted, I got to thinking about my kids, and they were teenagers by them, and they weren't around me that much, and anyway, I ended up in rehab a few times. It's just one, like I said, one mess right after the next. So, just full-blown alcoholic. I'd wake up in the mornings and I would be shaking if I hadn't had only in a few hours. It was fun starting out. They make it look fun, and it is fun. I could talk to everybody at the club. I could cut up. I wasn't shy, and like I was, if I didn't do it. And so, it started out really fun, but in the end, it turns on you. And I was by myself all the time, in my own home by myself, drinking. And once you start shaking, or once I started shaking, it wasn't fun anymore. So it's a really sad, horrible place to be, because it had so much control over my life that nothing else mattered except when I was going to get that next bottle. And that's it. That's all that mattered to me. I was in full-blown depression. I would get drunk and just cry all the time, or I'd rant and rave, and so I think this was after the annulment that I met another husband, and he was an alcoholic and I was an alcoholic, and that didn't last but about a year. Don't even know what year it was, don't know what date, and neither does he. I mean, we were that bad. So I'm not trying to glorify my sin or anything. I'm just telling you how bad my life was and what Jesus saved me out of. I was so sad that at this point in my life that I didn't want to get out of my house. I isolated. I didn't want to get out of bed. I would lay in bed all day just to wait for darkness. And when darkness came, I couldn't sleep half the time. It was just such an extreme amount of sadness in my life. And so one day I was working and keeping an older lady, and the Bible was sitting there, and I just happened to pick it up and just open it up, and it came to Psalms 25, and I started reading it. And I never read the Bible. I don't know why I did that day, but it just really, it touched my heart. And that night, I was crying and praying to God, Psalms 25, and asking Him to please help me asking him. I told him I wanted to know him like my parents knew him, and so I literally felt my chest opening up when I said, "Oh God, I lift my soul up to you," and I was like, "Please take it, please take it." And I would read a few words and cry a few words, and read a sentence or two and cry a sentence. So I felt more peace and love than I've ever felt in my life, and I felt His presence. It was the most wonderful. There's nothing in this world like it. Nothing. I was in awe. I was in tears. I felt so much love. And He said, "If you want to know me, learn all you can about my Son." And that was the beginning of my love story with Jesus and God. I had gone through, right before that, I had gone through chemo. I had found breast cancer. I let it go a year. I found a knot, and they did an ultrasound and said it's not anything to worry about, but follow up with surgeon. Well, I was so depressed at the time, I really didn't care if I died. And but a year later, it had grown some, and I thought, well, I got a little better, and I thought I ought to go see about it. So I did, and it ended up being breast cancer, but it was low grade, so I was so God was watching over me. But that helped even more so to turn my life around to God, so I consider that a blessing now. Because it was in that time that I had no one else, and I wanted to honor God. A saying, a verse, I've got a couple verses, and it says, Psalms 116:1, "I have given my love to the Lord because He has given ear to the voice of my cry and my prayer." And He did. And He saved me from alcohol, and He saved me from taking a lot of pills. I would take them. He saved me from trying to kill myself. He saved me. He turned my mourning into dancing. I still have some times that I can get sad, but I have to, we all do. But as long as I do my part, stay in the Bible and worship Him and sing and, do my part, He shows up in a mighty, mighty way, and I have so much joy and so much admiration for God and Jesus. I struggle just like everybody else does with sin, but I know that if I lived 100,000 years, I'd still sin in word, thought, or deed every day. So, it's only by the free gift He has given us. So, I want to say John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish but have everlasting life." And I'm asking you, would you accept this free gift that God, out of His love for you, would you accept His free gift, His Son, into your heart? I hope that you will pray. I wrote this down, Romans 10:8-10. But what does it say? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. Because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confesses and is saved. So, there you go. That's how to do it. Just pray and accept Him into your heart. Believe Him. Trust in Him, and your free gift. It's not anything you can do at all. And I struggle with this. I have struggled with this so much, and still every now and then, you know, the devil will try to throw it up and make me do that. But no, you have to fight it and know that you can never be a good person. Where God looked down, and I know this in the Bible, I can't tell you where it, but he looked down and there was not one good one, not one. So we all have sin, we all sin every day, sometimes a bunch of times a day, but Jesus died for us. He gave his life and would have given it for you, just you alone, if it had only been you. He loves you that much. Also, he has helped me so much. He's so amazing. Psalms 34:18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And I'm here to tell you that he does. He does. Okay, some people will say, well, or they'll think, well, I don't do that much sin, you know, aren't I I'm a pretty good person. I'm not going to go to hell when I die. That's not the deal. The deal is Hebrews 9:22. Without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sin. And all of us sin. All of us do. So, you have to have his blood to get into heaven. And I do know in my heart, God has told me I have visions, and I didn't believe in visions, but he gives me a good bit of visions. Jesus is coming. He's coming. He's coming so very, very, very soon. Please accept Jesus into your heart before it's too late. And I guess that's all I have to say. God bless you. And I'm going to pray over this video that he will touch people's hearts and accept that free gift.